We are now recording.
All right, thank you, Madam Secretary. Good morning. This is a meeting of the Executive Committee of the State Bar of California. Today is Thursday, August 10th. It's a little bit after 11:30 in the morning. Thank you to the members of the Board of Trustees and the Executive Committee who are joining us, as well as staff. I don't know whether we have members of the public who are with us this morning, so let me just ask, because it'll make a difference in my comments. Looks like we do have 39 participants. So just by way of introduction, you may have noticed that there are two meetings consecutively or concurrently scheduled for this morning. One is the Executive Committee, which I've just called to order. The second is a Board of Trustees special meeting. The reason for that is that we were unsure whether we would be able to achieve a quorum of the board, and it looks like that we're not able to, and we have not been able to. So we are going to, and by the way, both of those agendas are essentially the same, with each of the same items of business. And so what we're going to do is convene the Executive Committee meeting, get through as much business as we can on that agenda. If we are able to achieve a quorum of the board, then we will transition to a board meeting to complete the items on the agenda. With that introductory remark, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll, please?
10, not present. Cisneros,
Here.
Duran,
Present.
Noel,
Here.
Joel, not present. Stallings, not present. Tony,
Present.
Trejo.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. First on our agenda is a call for public comment. State Bar staff will attempt to call members of the public in the order that they appear in the attendee list. Just a reminder for those of you who joined us before, you'll hear this again and again. If you're participating on Zoom, there is a raise hand function near the bottom center of your screen. Please use that to indicate your desire to address the Executive Committee, and we will call on you in order. If you are joining us by phone, you may use the *9 function to alert us to your desire to address the Executive Committee. Understand that we have a couple of folks who have signed up ahead of time to speak, and so I will at this time call on Mr. Benjamin Cohn to address the Executive Committee.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Unless an applicant affirmatively requests with in-person testing instead of remote testing as an accommodation, the State Bar should allow that applicant to receive their accommodations remotely, even if that applicant's accommodations would require customized exam security measures in order to provide the same assurances against the opportunity to cheat as an applicant without accommodations. The option of a body camera, it should allow most of the accommodations that were at issue in, for example, the Gordon case, bathroom breaks, physical scratch paper, and the ability to bring medicine, food, or drink into the test sessions. This is because it would allow the State Bar to have a recording of what the applicant can see from the angle that they're taking the test at, unlike a computer web camera, and because it will follow what the applicant is doing when they leave view of that web camera to take mid-test session breaks. The security flags that ExamSoft and Exam Monitor already deploy can still be used. It's just that would tell you what timestamp to look at the body cam recording if that's what you wanted to do. Secondly, the idea that staff are looking into more ways to accommodate disabled applicants remotely is vague when there's no policy or commitment to doing even when it requires different examination security methods, or where there is a belief that the accommodations somehow don't lend themselves to online testing. There should be more transparency about the scope of accommodations that will be offered remotely. I have made a public records request, and I hope that this one does not run into a bunch of exemptions and months of delay, like the ones that I wanted for my public comment for the July 31 comment period, which have still not been produced and will not be by August 18, apparently. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohn. Next up is Claire Solat. Ms. Solat, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. At the July Board of Trustees meeting, I shared the LSFN's concerns with regards to several bar exam related proposals. The LSFN since that time has submitted detailed written proposal which outlines recommendations for a well-paced pathway to fiscal health and licensure reform for the state bar over the next 3 years. Today, I'll focus my comments on process, and I ask you to consider the importance of evidence-based decision-making and time-sensitive situation analysis. As shared by staff, the state bar's current financial challenges developed over many years, and the proposed testing site challenges are filled with uncertainty. As a result, I ask each of you to consider, 1, does it make sense to implement changes to venues and exam modes 4 or more times over the next 3 years that will result in the exam experience varying dramatically each time an exam is administered? Or would it make more sense to design an approach that allows time to collect much needed data, minimizes the number of changes, and syncs up with the elimination of the MBE and administration of the next gen bar exam? 2, does it make sense to try to solve the Office of Admissions' anticipated deficit in a single year by enacting huge exam fee increases and dramatically reducing testing sites? Or would a multi-year approach that includes a series of reasonable fee increases and testing site changes based on usage numbers make more sense and have a better chance at being successful? 3, given that the State Bar recently sold its San Francisco office building for $62 million, which is close to 3 times the purchase price, are the State Bar's finances so dire that it makes it an imperative to design a cost-neutral budget in 2024, or would it make more sense to use a 3-year approach that also factors in revenue from additional methods of licensure and naturally occurring reductions in exam expenses? While it is clear that the State Bar Board of Trustees and staff are passionate about their roles and truly want to serve the organization well, the focus has been on rapid solutions. These proposals shift the cost burden to examinees and conflicts with the State Bar's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Quick, underdeveloped solutions often result in poor outcomes. Attempting to solve the Office of Admissions finances too rapidly will have disproportionate impact on low-income, disabled, rural examinees and those pursuing careers in public interest law. It will also open the door to more potential problems for the State Bar in light of the fact that only 6% of bar comments support this proposal. The proposed exam venues are still in doubt, and staff plans to return to the board in early 2024 with more proposed changes. The board has a perfect opportunity to design a comprehensive solution if it stops bifurcating issues and uses a comprehensive approach to resolve the half-dozen interrelated issues. As a result, the LSFN urges the Board of Trustees to vote for the as-is model for the February 2024 bar exam and commit to addressing changes to the numerous interrelated exam issues holistically at its September board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solat. I'd like to just, if I could, briefly address one of the issues you just raised. As always, we thank you for your active participation and certainly the interest that you're showing in the important issues that you addressed. You just mentioned a sale of the San Francisco building for a specified amount. I just want to clarify for you and for anyone else who may be under the misimpression that transaction has been completed. It is not. As you will note that there's a closed session item on our agenda to discuss the sale of the San Francisco building. So I just wanted to clear that up. Okay, next we will move on to Ray Hayden, please.
Hi, Ray Hayden here, and I thank you in advance for whoever's controlling the audio levels at your end. I thank you very much for that. Being in video production, you figured I'd be a tad better on that. I want to finish, start off with the end of my thing right now. I have a admission process that I suggest, which assures greater protection for the general public, assures greater competency of newly licensed lawyers, and rock solid guarantees a more diverse and balanced California bar membership. And it is proposed the way I propose it. It's all completely remote. Okay, so let me get into my concerns for the February 2024 California General Bar Exam. I refer to it as a half and half exam, half in person, half remote. The in-person part is mandated by the MBE, which must be in person as mandated by the NCBE. Even though the MPRE I could take in Florida locally at a local community college, I have to go to California to sit for the MBE because it's not set up to where we could do it like the MPRE. In this case, California makes their own written exam, but for those who do not live in California, we must travel to California to sit for the one-day MBE portion. The MBE had already been determined to be specifically invalid by both IELTS and the NCBE, the very people who created it. This is published information. It's not a secret. The MBE since 1972 has been determined to be invalid. The NCB had a fit about that when IELTS published before they did, but then they had to backpedal and agree that nope, the MBE is invalid, yet we all still have to take it. And California's Blue Ribbon Commission voted for California to create their own exam apart from the NCBE completely. Recently, the Committee of Bar Examiners made the comment that the MBE is vital to scaling the entire exam, which is completely incorrect. In fact, scaling a written exam to the invalid MBE makes the entire exam invalid. And the attorney's exam does not even include the MBE at all. Also, difficulty in travel, nothing to do with the California bar, of course, but due to the pandemic, seeing a loss of active air crews and the current scramble to acquire air crews to meet demand, this is going to be a problem for some exam takers traveling longer distances, which is why I seek non-stop flights myself. But for people from more remote areas, they're going to have to make connections, and every connection is that much more of an opportunity to not make it to the California bar exam. In fact, I personally know somebody who got cut off from their first year exam, and they pretty much stopped attending school after that. They pretty much dropped out, but had to have a very successful career. But one of my classmates had to drop out because in the San Francisco area, they went on strike and she could not get to the first year exam back then. And she said, pretty much that's it. Furthermore, the admission process I suggest will save the California bar millions of dollars. It's extremely flexible. It does not limit subject matter like just pulling 4 or 5 essays. That has nothing to do with it. Plus, it does 3 other things besides saving the millions of dollars for California bar. It assures greater protection for the general public, assures greater competency of newly licensed lawyers, and guarees a more diverse, balanced California bar membership. One last thing before I go.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Your time is up. Appreciate you joining us. Next, may we have Charlene Kleisch. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Welcome, Ms. Kleisch. It looks like you're on mute.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you for taking my comments. I'm going to go real quickly. I have a couple issues. The first one is the unfair requirements for requiring applicants with testing accommodations to provide additional documentation after they've already been approved by the bar exam committee to require new information for each subsequent testing cycle. That's going to impact the people with the most severe disabilities because it's being required only of people that need private rooms, semi-private rooms, or additional time beyond 1/4 amount of time extra. So anybody that has time and a half, double time are going to be required at a great expense to the applicants to jump through severe hoops each and every subsequent exam. The second comment is deadlines. Please, please, please be mindful of public comment deadlines. It's quite suspicious to have them be at or within a few days of an exam administration. I know that seems like a minor detail for you all, but after the bar exam and leading up to the bar exam, it's physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting, expensive for applicants. So if you really want public comment from everybody and not just a few people that are dedicated to the cause, I highly encourage you to not have public comment deadlines on July 31st or right after the February bar exam. Please, please try and accommodate that. I think that's more than a reasonable request. My next comment is it's also unfair and discriminatory, in my opinion, to require disabled applicants to travel and make them take the test, both parts, the written and the multiple choice, in person. That's going to require them to have higher costs for travel expenses, have to pay for hotels, food, their support people when necessary. That's going to impact those with the highest level of disabilities, with the highest level of physical disabilities and the highest level of functioning disabilities. You all say you want to be diverse and inclusive. That is not the way to do it. Once the California Bar approves an applicant and they've already jumped through the hoops and spent between $5,000 and $10,000 having all their medical documentation, all their tests, there's no reason to have a stringent requirement after the bar's already approved them. To me, that indicates that you think your processing procedure is faulty. If you think somebody's going to suddenly recover from severe physical or learning disabilities in a 6-month or a 12-month time period, I encourage you to rethink that. You're going to face extensive lawsuits. That's one way to reduce your expenses, is by being compliant with ADA law. The last thing I'm going to say is there's many other alternatives other than renting hotel rooms for people with accommodations or for the regular exam population. Every college, every university in this state.
I'm sorry to cut you short. We've got to keep everybody in the time limits to be sure that we're fair. Next, I'm showing LAAC trainings as the next speaker. I believe that may be the Legal Aid Association of California, but I could be wrong. Once your microphone is activated, you've got 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, Board of Trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Rianne Pacheco, and I am with the Legal Aid Association of California. I am commenting on item number 702 today. LAC is in opposition of the recommendation to increase fees and reduce the number of exam sites, as this will disproportionately impact low-income graduates, rural communities, and those interested in a career in public interest law. Reducing the current 16 exam sites to 3 super sites will cause an undue burden on lower income examinees, as this will undoubtedly come with additional costs of stay, transportation, not to mention time, on an already taxing event. This change will also cause additional stress, as registration will become competitive and time sensitive for examiners' local venue. That's all from us today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Todd Hill, please. Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning, all. Thank you, Mr. Rand, for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Todd Hill. I matriculated into the People's College of Law in fall of 2019. Basically over 4 years ago. And during that entire period of time, after having completed the entire curriculum that the school offered, I still don't have an accurate transcript. I've claimed that there are issues related to the bar's ability to follow administrative procedures appropriately. I complained about the issues with unit award issues, unlawful unit award issues, and I filed a federal case, case number 2:23-CV-01298-JLS-PD lowercase x. That number again is 2:23-01298-JLS-PDX. The case is currently dismissed, but I suspect I will have to revive it because I still today, again, don't have a transcript. I have tried to work with everyone here in a fashion that has been complicated because State Bar has refused to follow policies related to conflict of interest. It has failed to follow its basic policies and the law. And it seems uninterested in doing so. I matriculated in the People's College of Law in fall of 2019, as I get it today. In 4 years, having taken all courses, having taken the baby bar, which required the state bar to certify that I was ready for it, and I took it and passed it. I still don't have a transcript. The place I'm attempting to transfer to, debatably, I shouldn't have to transfer at all, but the place I'm trying to transfer to is saying that they now must consider delaying me until January, although I provided all of the material that I could provide. Because you failed to provide material that you have a duty to provide. I don't know how to make this any simpler. State Bar denies that there's a duty owed. They denies that there's any possibility of negligence. That a law student who must register as a law student prior to, or at least 90 days within starting classes, has to pay for such registration, can't get a transcript, can't transfer.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Hill. Appreciate you joining us. Next, we've got John McKee. Mr. McKee, welcome.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you for your time, and I'll also be brief because I'm going to be agreeing with what Claire had said earlier and Shirlene and the Legal Aid Society. I want to make a comment on the proposal to reduce the testing sites and specifically to remove the San Diego bar exam testing site. I'm the Assistant Dean for the Career and Professional Development Office at California Western School of Law. We are a very diverse law school. 49% of our school's graduates are diverse. Many of them lack the financial resources of more privileged law graduates from the schools in the LA and San Francisco Bay areas. I just want to point out, as the others have already pointed out, this is a diversity, equity, and inclusion issue with the proposal to concentrate all of the testing in the two major metropolitan areas, making everybody else in rural areas and San Diego, which is the second biggest city in our state, to travel long distances. I made a public comment that this is very much like an unfair redistricting voting map where the concentration of testing sites are just in LA and the San Francisco Bay areas. It's unfair to the rest of California, and it specifically goes at the most disadvantaged students, our diverse and economically disadvantaged students that are going to have to pay the burden of this. I fully appreciate and understand the financial burdens that the State Bar is going through, but this is just not the way to do it, to put the burden on the backs of recent graduates, especially with these testing sites so far away from where they live. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean McKee. All right, it looks like that is the end of the list for public comment. Let me confirm with the secretary.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, we're going to move into closed session. We have several items agendized. They are being held under the authority of Government Code Section 1126, subsection A1, subsection C2, C7, E2B, small letter I, and they relate to the sale of the San Francisco building, as I indicated earlier, the audit of the closed files from the Office of Chief Trial Counsel, and a piece of anticipated litigation. Trustees, I suspect by now we will have received a separate link for the closed session. We will convene in a closed session, and at the conclusion of that report, reconvene an open session if there's something to report out. Let me actually just do a housekeeping check. Was there a request to cover the consent calendar before we move into closed session?
I think that was the general counsel's recommendation.
Is there any, if there's no objection from the board, let me just take back what I said and move the consent calendar up above closed session. Trustees, any questions, comments, or a desire to pull any of the consent calendar items?
Hold on. Yes. actually would like us to go over the consent calendar. I have some questions on actually each item.
Okay, given that, then we will just go straight into closed session and then pull up the consent calendar when we reconvene in open session. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you shortly.
Alfredo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I think Luisa said that someone here in the San Francisco office is going to change my room to the consent calendar.
Yes, I can let them know right now. And I'm also gonna turn off your camera and your video right now because we're still live on the board meeting. So someone should be with you shortly, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We are reconvened in open session, having gone into closed session to consider only one item on our closed session. After all, there was not a need to consider the other items that were not the real estate negotiations item. So I'll just note that for the record. I will also note that Trustee Chen joined the rest of the trustees right as we were starting closed session. So she was present for that discussion. That was a discussion only with direction to staff. There is no reportable action from that closed session. That will move us into open session. And we have, I'm showing one consent item and then two miscellaneous items. The first item is approval of specified contracts under Business and Professions Code 6008.6. Ms. Wilson, who is presenting on this item? Or if you want to just, Mr. Tony, if you just.
Yeah, I think if Mr. Tony can ask his questions, we can answer them.
Thank you very much. I just think that with all of the budget cuts that we are looking at, that it's important to take a look at some of these items. It's nearly $2 million. So I just want to make sure that as a board, we are doing our due diligence to make sure we're looking at proposed expenses. So the first one is the Allied Universal for $729,576 for LA office security. And I just like a description of what that covers. And I'm particularly interested in how is this a continuation from the previous vendor, or is this something that was bid? It's a one-year term, it looks like. Is it something that was bid out and they came back with the best bid package? So just a little bit about, help me understand the expense.
Sure. So I do need to apologize. Now I'm looking at this. There was a typo in that number. That is not the correct number. We spend about so I have to I apologize. I will have to, we don't spend that much money for a 1-year contract. This would just be the 1-year renewal is significantly less than that. So I do apologize, and I will have to, I did not catch that before now. So if we want to, I'm happy to pull that one off and we can submit it next time. I apologize. Didn't catch that.
But do you want to explain what it is for?
Sure. We have regular contract security through a private third-party security company. So they provide on-site security, screening of guests, special security for events. And Allied Universal is one of the major unionized security companies that many downtown buildings use in both San Francisco and Los Angeles area.
Okay.
And these services are bid out competitively?
Oh, yes. Everything, this is all bid that we do a formal competitive bid public RFP. And that happens every, there's a typical contract is 3 years with a 2 years renewal terms included. And then we do a formal RFP again.
Excellent. I am in strong support for building security. Okay, absolutely. I'm relieved to hear that the amount may not be this high, because when I looked at it, without knowing anything at all, it just looked high to me, just without any other information. So yes, appreciate that. It'll be I was curious about what happened with the temporary staffing services on number 4. Is that a common thing? Do we, because of proctors and stuff, do we, is this pretty much every exam and we should just expect it? I don't always remember, so you'll have to remind me, please.
Yes, this is the recurring for bar exams. This is we procure proctors via temp agency. So this is a standard expected recurring expense under the current model of staffing the bar exam. Obviously could change in the future if we move to more remote exams that have fewer proctors.
Okay. On item number 3, the lawyer assistance program, I was curious for the rationale for a office lease outside of the LA office. Without knowing any better, I'm thinking, well, we got a big office building. What's a good reason for us to be paying for outside office lease?
Sure. So we are in, this is actually just year 6 of a 7-year lease that has, so we've been there for several years. At the time, there were 2 considerations. One, there was not sufficient office space at the time. And also there was a more affirmative decision that LAP, based on how it was structured at that time, it made sense to have it off-site. So it would be somewhat separate because clients were coming into the office and things like that. And there was an idea that a separate site, not having people come directly into the state bar offices, would be better for servicing that population.
So Mark, this is the program that provides substance abuse and mental health services to lawyers through a $10 mandatory fee that's included in all attorneys' annual fees. And there is a voluntary aspect of this program, as well as what we call mandatory for folks that are involved in the discipline system or in the moral character determination process. But there was a belief, we have very low participation rates in this program based on, in comparison to the number of licensees. And one of the concerns that we've heard over the years is people don't want to voluntarily come to the state bar with their substance abuse issue if they have, a fear or concern that information might be shared with the discipline system. So the recommendation was to have physical distance, separate office space. People didn't have to come into the state bar office in order to access the services. And this lease cost is funded by that $10 assessment, not our general fund. But I've asked about this as well. And given that we are primarily remote and all of much of the client interaction is remote, when this lease ends, we will not re-procure separate physical space for this program.
Thank you very much. Those are my main questions. I really appreciate your indulgence.
Thank you, Trustee Tony, for the fine-tooth comb there, and staff for giving us some context for several of those items. I'm assuming we don't need to take action to have this appear on our next agenda. It'll just show up. If there's a need for a motion to continue, Madam General Counsel, let me know. I don't think so.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay. That'll move us on to item 2A, which is the approval of the proposed 2023 general fund budget amendments.
Excuse me, Chair, would you like a motion to adopt the items 2 through 5 of the consent agenda?
I apologize. I only saw one item on what I was looking at. I would like that motion, Mr. Tony. Thank you. Would you care to
I'm
make it?
happy to make it.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tony, second by Cisneros for items 2 through 5 of the consent calendar, with my apologies for forgetting them.
I think it's the contracts item on the consent calendar. I think what's being referred to is rows 2 through 5. In the one item.
Okay,
Yes.
so we will leave that first item off on the security.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Thanks, everyone. Can we have the roll, please?
Ken,
Yes.
Cisneros,
Aye.
Noel. Trustee Noel,
Oh,
was that a no? I'm sorry.
yes.
Thank you. Soel, not present. Stallings, not present. Tony,
Aye.
Trejo,
Aye.
Duran.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Now we get to move on to the general fund budget amendments. Ms. Montoya Chico is with us, and I understand will present.
Yes, thank you, Ruben. I will present a few slides. So please let me know when you can see my screen in presentation mode.
It's up.
Great. So this agenda item is to present the proposed general fund budget amendments that were discussed with the Finance Committee on Monday. They've approved them, so now they're brought forth to the Board Executive Committee to hopefully approve them. So I'm not going to go through all of the budget amendments. I'll highlight a few, but my next slides would just be to highlight some points that I think are important. And the attachment in the agenda, attachment A lists in detail all of the amendments themselves, as well as the agenda. So just to summarize some key points, the total amendments that are being proposed in this agenda item total about $9.5 million. However, we did have some revenues that exceeded our original budget this year, so we're offsetting those expenses by about 1.9 million, excuse me, of surplus revenue. So the net impact to the general fund is about 7.6 million of amendments in this agenda item. One of the amendments included in here is item 13. It's listed as item, sorry, we renamed them into different categories. It's item 5, excuse me, in the anticipated but not budgeted portion. And this is, it's a significant impact to the 2023 general budget. And that's just an adjustment to our vacancy rate that we had originally budgeted at 15%. However, for the 6 months ended June, it's actually hovered around 8%. So, we wanted to make that adjustment. And that's one of the amendments that I did wanted to highlight. There's a couple amendments here also on accruals, one of them being vacation accruals. And I just want to highlight that we have typically not budgeted that item. However, the plan is to start budgeting them going forward with 2024 and going forward. And that's not budgeting them does not really provide an accurate picture of what our financial condition is. These accruals are always made at year end, so they end up hitting our books in December. So you usually see when I've done my Q4 presentation of our results, a huge increase in the general fund expenses that you really hadn't seen throughout the year. So this amendment is proposed so that it can paint a better picture, if you will. So I wanted to also mention originally, just for comparison purposes, our original budgeted general fund year-end balance was about $8 million. However, with all of the amendments that are listed in the agenda item, the revised general fund ending balance for 2023 is projected to deplete almost entirely, leaving us only about $400,000 after all of these amendments. So now moving on to 2024, wanted to highlight a few points here. We initially, so as part of the 2023 budget, we always include the next year's forecast. We had forecasted 2024 projections to have deficit spending of about $6.5 million. That was also reflecting a 15% vacancy rate, which I already mentioned, we're not achieving that anymore. We actually have had very low attrition, and our vacancy rate has been much lower than we've historically had achieved. So obviously 2024 projections were using 15% is not reasonable any longer. I also want to highlight that 2024 forecast did not include any expenses at all for the cost of ownership or leasing the building. So we do have to incorporate those into 2024. So what is this? All of these additions that you see, just really only about three additional expense categories that we're forecasting to that we need to forecast into 2024 projections. That's going to increase our deficit from 6.5 to about 12.3 million. So we're adding 12.3 million more of expenses, and these just include the building expenses and the salary adjustment of the vacancy rate. So just those two line items are a significant component over 2024 revised projections. So this basically leaves us in 2024 with a projected deficit of close to 19 million. As I mentioned, our ending reserves for 2023, which become our opening reserves for 2024, is less than $500,000. So needless to say, we do not have sufficient reserves to address 2024 spending. And again, just to highlight some points of, what are we looking at to address the 2024 deficit? Well, there's an option that we've consistently mentioned. We could get a fee increase, that could be possible. However, we do think that if a fee increase could just be limited to what the state auditor recommended. And I want to remind the executive committee that the CSA recommended fee did not include any facility costs into their fee increase recommendation, and it also reflected the continuation of the 15% vacancy rate, which it's just no longer reasonable today. Outside of a fee increase or a special assessment, we are looking into potentially transfer money from other funds that do have excess funds, and we've identified two funds, CSF and LAP, that we could potentially transfer funds into the general fund. However, they are very limited, as we would need legislative authority to be able to make that transfer. CSF is funded by there's two components that fund CSF. One is an actual mandatory fee of about $40, and the other portion is reimbursements that we get from attorneys, from collections or some sort of discipline activities. That portion, OGC made an analysis, and OGC determined that we can transfer that portion that is not the mandatory fee funded portion into the general fund. So we are looking to see what that amount will be, and so that's a possibility that would not need legislative authority. And finally, we've looked at a couple options that we could potentially defer a couple of our expenses that we normally make, such as OPEB. OPEB is our other post-employment benefits that we pay every year, as well as our debt service payment, potentially not asking the bank to not pay a certain year's debt service. Well, 2024 really. So those are the options that we've considered, and that is the end of my presentation. So I'm happy to answer any more detailed questions on any of the listed amendments, if anybody has questions. Ruben.
Yeah, I do have a question out of Sally. Thank you. I thought I just heard you say that proposed transfers from the Client Security Fund and the Lawyers Assistance Program Fund would not require legislative approval?
They would require, the LAP would require legislative approval. CSF, because it's funded in two different ways, the portion that's funded by the mandatory fees would also require legislative authority for us to transfer those funds.
Okay, thank you.
And it's our view that irrespective of whether it's beyond legislative approval, a statutory change, whether or not that's required technically, we couldn't even pursue the discretionary transfer without some kind of approval.
Okay, thank you. Trustees, other trustees, any other questions? Mr. Tony, your hand's going up. Yes.
I'm wondering about sequencing of this discussion of our agenda. it seems to me, unless I'm mistaken, that the and maybe I'm wrong on this, but the cost reductions in the proposal for the February 2024 bar exam locations and stuff, are they part of this budget or completely separate? And are those costs strictly in the 2024? I know that February is in 2024, but I'm trying to get a sense of how much of the next discussion is reflected in the budget that's revisions that's before us. So I'm just trying to understand.
The next item, Mark, is the admissions fund. So all of the costs that are being reflected in that agenda item are in the admissions fund, so not the general fund.
Okay, so the proposal that you have before us are strictly general fund proposal.
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification. That helps me. Thank you.
Sure.
Trustees, any other questions for staff?
One last point of clarification, please.
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that 18 million deficit that we were talking, operating deficit that we were highlighting, that doesn't include the additional expenses for the building or it does?
And for 2024, yes, it does.
Okay, great, wonderful, awesome.
Okay.
Sorry about that, I was on mute. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'd like to get a motion to approve the proposed amendments to the 2023-2024 general fund budget amendments. Got a motion by Cisneros,
I'll second.
second by Tony. Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Secretary. And just for everybody's information, the resolution attached to this proposed action is on the screen. There is the additional information there about the client security fund and the lawyer assistance program aspect of this proposed action.
Pen,
Aye.
Oh. Greg, did you have a question?
No, I was wondering where it went.
Oh,
The resolution.
we can put it back up for sure. There it is.
Thanks.
Madam Secretary, please.
Cisneros,
Yes.
no,
Aye.
Sowell, not present, Stallings, not present, Tony,
Aye.
Trejo,
Aye.
Glenn.
Aye.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is a request to approve the February 2024 bar exam testing locations and related contracts under Government Code, Business and Professions Code 6008.6. This item will be presented by our Chief Programs Officer, Donna Hershkowitz, and Program Director, Amy Nunez. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen so you can see the PowerPoint. Can everyone see the right screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we're coming back to you today to present an update on the cost reduction models that we're proposing for the February 2024 bar exam. We spoke at length about this at the July 20th meeting. So our plan for today is to provide you with a few reminders for context setting and to highlight the current staff proposal, which is a modification of what we presented to you last month, to bring the public comment to your attention and get direction from you on the test locations for the February 2024 exam and the approval of the related contracts. So as a quick reminder, the 2023 admissions fund budget projected a significant deficit for the second year in a row for admissions. For 2023, the expenditures are projected to exceed revenues by $7 million. leaving only 4 million in the admissions fund. As a result, the fund will not remain solvent in 2024 without changes. We've therefore been exploring a combination of increases, the fee increases, which the board's discussed on at least 2 occasions, and cost reductions to equalize the fund. Although the fee proposal in its most recent form makes significant inroads, it leaves an ongoing deficit of more than $1 million. So action must be taken to cut costs. As we looked at places to cut costs at admissions, the administration of the bar exam really presented the most opportunities and the most logical place to find savings. So in developing the proposal that Amy will be presenting to you today, we explored consolidation of our existing test centers, test sites into fewer sites. We explored options for whether it would be possible to administer part of the exam remotely, as well as cost savings that would be associated with using state bar offices or other state buildings for low or no cost for some of our applicants. Before I transition over to Amy, just because a couple of the public commenters mentioned it, I want to be crystal clear that although the proposal that we had talked to the Committee of Bar Examiners about at the end of June included a 1-day remote, 1-day in-person structure for the exam, the model that we put out for public comment, the model that we discussed with the board, and the model that we will be presenting today, although all slightly different from one another, are all fully in-person models. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy to walk through what the staff recommendation is.
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, trustees. So here, the staff recommendation, as Donna's noted, is to conduct the February 2024 exam in person at 7 sites. 5 of those sites would be contracted sites, and 2 other locations that are cost-free include the Judicial Council office in San Francisco and the Los Angeles State Bar office. The contracted sites include 3 super sites. And when I say super sites, I'm referring to sites that will seat over 1,300 applicants. And while the super sites allow for increased seating capacity, we added the Judicial Council office in San Francisco to provide more testing space for testing accommodations. However, it's not enough to serve those that are testing in private or semi-private room settings. And as a result, we added the Sacramento TA as a TA site to serve that need, and also in response to the fact that we had taken away all space in Sacramento. The other thing about this model, it assumes that we're going to be seating about between 5,500 and 6,000 applicants in February 2024, which includes testing accommodation applicants. Next slide, please. So sites were selected based on a variety of factors, availability, cost. We seek sites that have sufficient seating capacity, such as the super sites that are selected here. I mentioned how many they seat. Ontario Convention Center seats 2,300, the Pasadena Convention Center almost 1,800, and the Cow Palace seats about 2,600 that include standard and TA applicants. In terms of cost, the State Bar seeks venues that have adequate space, lighting, parking, that address our security needs, that conform to our floor layouts, that can accommodate standard and TA applicants, ideally at the same location, and that also stay within our price range. And a variety of factors impact that cost or ability to meet that cost. The post-pandemic hotel costs have increased significantly. The State Bar does not contract for food and beverage, which makes us less appealing to hotels. Hotels obviously gain more revenue with clients that contract for space, rooms, food, and beverage. And these factors make it challenging for us to keep the costs low. Also, testing space needs to be cost effective in terms of cost, but also in terms of effectively use of personnel resources. As you can imagine, each testing location requires a set of staff, 1 to lead, and 2 or 3 to support members to carry out all of the oversight required at the test site. So sending a team of staff to locations with a smaller pool of applicants is less effective, is a less effective use of these resources than sending a team of staff to a site that has 1,000 plus applicants. And this is a case that we see in San Diego, which seats at max in February about 400 applicants, and in July 700. In that city, we've been challenged with identifying venues that can seat more than 700 applicants. We've used the San Diego Concourse in the past, and that space has not been available either based on budget constraints or availability. And as a reminder, in July, the State Bar competes with Comic-Con for space in San Diego, which typically takes over the entire city that month. And the last issue that's specific to San Diego is that the demand was factored in this decision. The historical demand for seating has gone down in San Diego. We normally limit that site to be open only to San Diego applicants only, based on their address zip codes, prioritizing that spot for local applicants. However, the past couple of July bar exams, we've opened it up to non-San Diego resident applicants because the space was not filling up. Ontario has been selected based also on the availability and cost and for the ability to meet our budget. Next slide, please. Here we highlight the sites, distinguishing between the standard and the TA sites. I've mentioned some of these already. So under the as-is model, there are 5 standard test sites. The cities are located in Oakland, Sacramento, Pasadena, Ontario, and San Diego. We also have 5 TA sites in Burlingame, Sacramento, Los Angeles at LAX, Orange, and San Diego. The staff proposal is to use 3 large standard test sites. The Bay Area would be served in Daly City. Pasadena and Ontario are part of our super sites. And those super sites can seat both TA and standard applicants. We'd be adding 4 more TA sites under the staff recommendation. I've noted in Sacramento, Orange, at the Judicial Council office in San Francisco, and the LA downtown office, State Bar office. Now, as you can see here in terms of the cost, the February 2024 estimate, that is the as-is model, runs a cost of about $2.65 million. The staff proposal is about a $645,000 cost savings at about $2.005 million. As you can see within the model, some of our cost areas stay the same. For example, facility and proctor costs, staff travel, ExamSoft license, and the MBE books. Those costs stay the same from one model to the next. The areas where this changes are obviously in the facility and facility-related expenses. Those expenses include the meeting rooms, sleeping rooms, and parking for State Bar staff, proctor parking, the rental of tables and chairs, audiovisual support, electrical needs, and water for applicants. As for the other expenses that are noted here, that includes things that are not contract related, so off-duty security officers, computers, phones, printing of materials, and the delivery of materials to the test sites. So essentially, I've highlighted this, but the cost savings between these 2 models is approximately $645,000.
So we circulated the proposal for reduced sites for public comment for a period that lasted just under 30 days. Specifically, as I mentioned, the staff proposal, staff recommendation has evolved over time. And so the proposal that was circulated was 4 contracted sites and the use of 2 State Bar offices. What we're proposing now is 5 contracted sites, and the addition back, one of those sites being the addition back, as Amy said, of a testing accommodation site in Sacramento. For the public comment we received, of the 17,000 or so individuals that we sent the public comment opportunity to, we received comments from 679 individuals. Linked to the agenda item is a dashboard, which allows you to see the breakdown of the comments by commenter type and the primary issues raised by the commenter. The themes from the comments are not unexpected, or I guess said in the positive, are to be expected. And we are without doubt sympathetic to all of the issues that were raised by the commenters who almost uniformly disagreed with the proposal. In general, sort of at a high level, the themes that the commenters talked about included the significant financial burden for people who live outside of the areas in which there is a testing facility, needing to pay for hotels, travel, eating out, because if you weren't traveling, you'd be eating at home, all of those kinds of expenses. There was some discussion about what the anxiety and stress and chaos would be at these super sites, where we may have 2,000 people as opposed to 700, 1,100 at other sites that we have historically operated. There was a theme certainly about the disproportionate burden or disproportionate impact on people of color, people with disabilities, and people from lower socioeconomic status, and their inability to afford these additional costs in particular, and what kind of impact that might have on their ability to gain access to the profession. Whether this would in fact make it such that they simply could not attend a bar exam. There was also a discussion of impact on those who have childcare or adult care needs, and how they're supposed to take care of that if they're not going to be traveling back to their home, if they do have to travel to sites outside of their home location. And ultimately there was a discussion of the impact on people outside of the LA and San Francisco area, and their ability and the obstacles that they would need to face in order to succeed at the bar exam, vis-a-vis the obstacles that people who live in the LA or San Francisco area would have to face, and that there was a disproportionate burden on those outside of the LA area. And then, as we mentioned in the agenda item, 40% of the commenters wrote in expressing their strong disagreement with elimination of test sites in San Diego. So we had about 270 plus commenters specifically talking about San Diego. And, again, I would say if we were looking at this proposal as if we were not looking at this proposal as a necessary step to mitigate the budget deficit, we would certainly agree that we should continue some testing in the San Diego area. However, the cost of the sites, San Diego sites, the ability to staff them due to the resource needs of the super sites make it impossible in staff's view to add San Diego back in if we were to retain a reduced site model. We would just not be able to staff the super sites and staff San Diego. The Southern California locations that we've identified have sufficient space for all of the Southern California applicants that are expected. It obviously would require those from San Diego to travel to Orange, Ontario, or Los Angeles, and we certainly understand that that would likely impose the need to get a hotel room and to incur the costs that I was discussing earlier on. So what we're asking of the board today is to approve the staff recommended sites for February 2024 and the related contracts for those sites. And then, but we certainly understand that the board will likely have questions about the as-is model versus the reduced model. And depending on what we hear from the board, that will affect the proposal that we bring back to you in September on the fees, right? As I said at the beginning, we've got about $1 million in ongoing deficit that we would need to address with a cost reduction model. If we don't address that today, then we may propose additional fees in order to deal with that, or otherwise adjust the model based on any recommendations from the direction from the board today. We intend also on coming back to the board probably in early 2024, hopefully January 2024, with a proposal for the July exam. We did limit this proposal to the February exam because, as I said, although we had originally thought about 1 day remote and 1 day in person, we wanted to get a stakeholder input forum together. We wanted to talk to people from other bar examiners from other jurisdictions. We wanted to get input from psychometricians before we pushed forward with a recommendation for 1 day remote. We wanted to focus, as one of the commenters talked about, on different ways to test remotely for those with certain testing accommodations that up until this point we have felt were too difficult to be able to administer remotely, in hopes that we could make the remote option considerably more available for those with testing accommodations. So those are our next steps, and we are happy to answer any questions or go back to any slides in the model.
Thank you, Ms. Hershkowitz. Thank you, Ms. Nunez. Let me check to see whether we want to remove the presentation so that trustees can see each other and you as well. If I could make that request, please. I see trustee Null has a question. You can go ahead, Greg.
Okay, thank you. I have a number of them. So I don't exactly understand, and that it could just be my ignorance. So I'd like to have one of you explain. At this time, the state bar is not able to eliminate the MBE because the MBE is critical to the scaling component of bar exam grading. I don't quite understand that. If we eliminated it, we could just deal with the written questions, and that would make somebody pass or not. In the meantime, come up with our own MBE that is California specific. So that's the first question, and then I'll go on to the San Diego issue.
I can answer that question. So an exam as significant as the bar exam is measured by validity and reliability. And so when we do something like take away the multiple choice portion of that exam, it loses reliability. So validity is whether the exam on the face of it measures what it should be. Reliability is as the statistical analysis of meeting that obligation. So taking away the multiple choice portion of that exam will not meet the standards that we meet now for being a reliable measure. So it would lose a huge reliability measure, meaning it could invalidate the exam if we did not keep the multiple choice component.
Even though there has been comments that the MBE for decades has been considered not appropriate.
Yes, I mean, that is one of the challenges with developing a new bar exam is creating an exam that is it meets the reliability and the validity that the exam meets now, and doing so in a way that addresses the issues with the MBE. I think the concern with the MBE, the multiple choice portion of the exam, is the arguments have been that the heavy reliance on memorization, how far it is from what an attorney does in their initial years to demonstrate minimum competence. So that will be the challenge in the upcoming years of how to develop an exam that now addresses test the skills and the areas that we've and the knowledge areas that we've identified as being part of the measure of minimum competence. That does not rely on like a multiple choice exam. But even if you look, for example, at the next gen exam, this is the exam that's been revamped by the National Conference of Bar Examiners. There are multiple choice components within some of their new formats. they're less, they're a little different from what they are now. But I think it's hard to remove that because the multiple choice gives you more observations from applicants. If we removed it now, we would have 6 separate observations to gauge somebody's minimum competence. What we have now is a multiple choice section that allows us to do that.
So do we know why MBE says that it has to be in person?
It's a security measure that they are taking.
So they can't figure it out technology-wise.
I think they're concerned about technology in general, that perhaps the technology has met the security requirements that they have for that exam.
It seems to me that one of the biggest savings we could have is if the entire exam went remote. And we had the ability to require what was mentioned earlier, like a body cam, so that if the person has to go to the restroom, you know what they're doing all the time. It seems to me that we, as well as others, are not thinking hard enough about how to get this done and to get it done rapidly so that people have an ease with being accommodated to take the bar. You were able to provide us with, I think, the attendees or signups for San Diego. I think it was 400 in February, 700 in July. I believe I heard from Ms. Herskowitz.
Correct.
And so, but what's interesting, I didn't hear anything about, before you make a bunch of people go, how many people in Ontario, in that area, before all the San Diegans go there, what's the number? What's the number in Orange County before everybody goes there from somewhere else? And I'd like to compare them, please, but I can't, because you only gave numbers for what San Diego is. And if everything is similar, it is unbelievable to me that the second largest city and county in California is being left out completely of having any site at all.
Yeah, let me take that one. So sort of regardless of the numbers, and Amy could certainly pull up those numbers of how many people have sat at Ontario in the past couple of exams, but regardless of the numbers, we find ourselves in this situation. First, the Orange site is a testing accommodation site, and we have already entered into a contract for that. That was done a while back. And so if we were to say we're no longer going to use the Orange site, then we would have costs for breaking that contract. So that's why we are maintaining.
But that's not our problem. You brought this to us today, and we're supposed to vote on it today. Here we find you've already entered into contracts into what you want to do. It doesn't really seem to me that it's a give and take discussion.
Well, so we entered into that contract before we started talking about the reduction in site. So that was one of the contracts that we normally would have entered into, and we had entered into that in the past. The other issue with the Ontario site is the Ontario site is housing both testing accommodations and standard applicants. My understanding is that the San Diego sites that we have used do not offer the ability, and we could not find a San Diego site that offers the ability to test the same number that we can test in Ontario. And so if we're looking at replacing part of the Ontario site with San Diego, then that's adding an additional site. And that's where we have said, if we are if we're at the point where the board wants us to add an additional site, we don't think at this time that that we would have the staff resources to be able to add more than to have more than 7 sites with this super site model, in which case we would say that we should go back to the as is model if you're looking for us to add one more site onto the reduced site approach.
Have you ever not had a site in San Diego? Until today, till now? This recommendation?
I know, Amy, we've had to move to Palm Springs in the past when we couldn't get a San Diego site. I don't remember if that was the only one at the time.
That's correct. Well, let me, I believe it was the first in-person exam after the pandemic. But
I just want to clarify, to make it crystal clear, we didn't circumvent sort of the board by entering into a contract with Ontario. This was entered into, my understanding, it's over a year ago, or at least much earlier this year, because we have to enter into these contracts well ahead of time. Otherwise, we don't have sites. So it's not that sort of while we were bringing this forward to you, we also entered into a contract with Ontario, and we can't enter into those contracts absent board approval. So no intention to sort of take this choice away from you. I think the reality is it's very expensive to host an exam in San Diego. And I'm happy to take the direction of the board here. I just would say the realities are we have a shortfall and a deficit in this fund. If we don't adopt staff's recommendation, that deficit will be larger than what it will be under staff's recommendation. And I'm not exactly sure where the funding will come from. You may decide, though, that you want to consider something really aggressive like you proposed earlier, complete elimination of the MBE starting with the July bar exam. I'm not sure we can do that under the current statutory sort of parameters for noticing schools of changes to the bar exam. We have to give 2 years notice, and I'm not sure if this would trigger that. We can have the psychometricians come forward to the board and tell you what they've told us, because I certainly have asked that question. Let's just get rid of the MBE. So we could pursue those kind of strategies to try to address this budget shortfall. But I'm not sure they're viable for the July bar exam. So just say if we add back in San Diego, I'd really want to be clear on where the money is going to come from to do so.
Have you talked to the legislature about this? That we may not be able to adequately test for admissions in February?
We've shared, I mean, Donna can provide all the details. I know I've been in conversations and we've shared all of these proposals along the way.
They're aware of both the fee increase proposal as well as this cost reduction model.
And you'll recall that in the latest versions of the fee bill, the amendments that speak to how we can use proceeds from the sale of the building do speak to using proceeds of the sale of the building for bar exam administration. And that is in response to our having raised this issue multiple times. However, as you know, as of today, we have not sold the building. And we cannot postpone the decision about the February exam.
Greg, I certainly hear and understand your frustration, and I mean, I'll just speak on my own behalf. I don't think any of us want to be here, but I think all of us have to recognize that we are where we are, and we've got to make some tough decisions. I mean, certainly the amount of public comment that is represented in the agenda item as presented online, and folks who shared with us their very real thoughts and concerns and fears and anxieties weigh heavy, I think, on me listening to the staff's recommendation. There's no good, easy way out of where we are. And I, you know, it sounds almost simplistic to say that, because but it's also unsatisfying. the one thing that I wanted to just follow up on, and I think Leah touched on it a little bit with respect to what Amy raised with reliability and validity. And I was going to bring up the psychometrician aspect of, how, we're one of 50 states, and there's ABA accredited law schools and non-accredited law schools throughout the country, many of whose students are trying to get admitted in California. And so we've got to remember that we have to play in that sandbox, right? And I'm assuming, although someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that there are also legal standards that we have to meet with respect to a reliable and valid test. And I'm assuming that there have been either court cases or administrative cases brought where folks have challenged administration of bar exams for not having met those standards set by psychometricians. And I'm assuming the ABA or somebody else. Happy to be further educated on that or corrected if I'm wrong. But it is, my point in all of that is that this is a very delicate balance inside a much bigger system than I think most of us, or at least I up until this point, had really realized. And we're sort of at a crunch point here where we've got to make some tough decisions to at least get us through February. And there are many other things in play for July 2024 and beyond. But I think what I hear, at least from one trustee, is let's have those very difficult policy conversations. Let's further engage the legislature, because we're already engaged a little bit there, but maybe this is another one of those areas where we get trustees more involved who have a particular expertise or a particular care or concern on this particular piece of the state bar's mission.
So I can't talk to legal cases that may or may not have challenged sort of a legal standard. But when we're talking about a high stakes licensure exam, we know we have to meet sort of the integrity, reliability, and validity. One of the issues also with the MBE, what we use it for, and the reason that we scale to it is because we can't have we can't be certain of the consistency from year to year or exam to exam of the difficulty of the essay questions and the performance test. So we want to make sure that we are that the difficulty that we are not presenting one group one test with a harder set of questions than another. And by scaling to the MBE, it allows us to equalize the test. So if there were some questions on one test which proved to be harder, by using the MBE and scaling to that, it equalizes. So the test is considered, and this is part of the reliability, it's considered the same level of difficulty from administration to administration. We did talk quite a bit about this at the onset of the pandemic, when we were trying to figure out what are we going to do when the National Conference of Bar Examiners at that point, at the beginning, was not prepared to allow us to do a remote exam. And there were, and we talked to psychometricians, and again, as Leah said, happy to bring them in and have further conversations with you about sort of ways to do that. It's certainly what we are looking to do with the future California bar exam, and not be reliant on anyone else, so we can set make our own policy decisions and set our own rules. Happy, to engage in any further conversations that the board feels that they need in order to make any decision if we were to reduce the number of sites. But I would say this: we are feeling pressed to have a decision today, one way or the other, on what we need, what direction we're going to go for the February exam. The more we wait, the more we lose sites to people who are putting their money down. So, for example, we had a hold on the LA Convention Center as opposed to the Pasadena Convention Center. Somebody came to them for those same dates with money. We lost the site. We will continue to lose sites, or costs will go up. And so if the board is only comfortable with us going forward with the as-is model, that is the board's call. We just need to have we need to be able to begin the contracting process. And so we need the board's approval on either contracts for the as-is model or on the staff proposed model or something in between, in order to be assured that we will be able to put on an exam at all in February.
Thank you, Donna. Trustees, any of, Mark, Tony, please. Still on you, Mark, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm going to start off by echoing Trustee Noel's feeling that this issue is being brought to the board as a fait accompli, that it is very late in the process. We really don't have a viable financial, feasible option to do San Diego in February. I mean, that's what we're presented with. And I think this is the kind of thing that, would have been better to have been brought to the board far earlier than now. And, I assume that the comic convention is every February in San Diego. And so that should not be a surprise. I also assume it's not in July. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do it twice a year. But I certainly would like to, at the very least, see some sort of commitment to restoring the San Diego site in July if we can't feasibly get it in February. I do think it's important. And it doesn't have to be literally, I would suggest, in the city of San Diego. San Diego is a large metropolitan area. As Trustee Noel points out, it is the second largest in California after the Los Angeles metropolitan. And so, I think as trustees, we really want to feel that the staff has looked hard to come up with some options here. I do also want to say that it's important for us as a board of trustees and for the State Bar as an institution to not only realize, acknowledge that we are in this situation, but to acknowledge that we are to blame for the situation that we are in. The State Bar, I'm talking about the admissions, not the general. The Bar Board of Trustees has not reviewed or raised these testing fees since 2016 or before in some cases. That's on us. We can't blame that on the legislature or anybody else. And so, yes, it's a huge increase, and it would not have been a huge increase if it were increased step by step, year by year. We have to take responsibility for that, because if we don't, then we won't learn the lesson and we will fail to, going forward, be proactive. That's our fault. We have to accept it. That's how I feel. I also really wish in this conversation, in the solutions, that we talk about and bring in an earlier discussion about alternatives to licensure than testing. And I understand we have a subcommittee from the Blue Ribbon Commission that is putting together something for us to look at. I hope we have something to look at the September meeting. Or if not September, November at the latest. But, the solutions to this should not be just looked at the closed, kind of the closed, whatever you call it, closed circuit or whatever, of just testing fees and testing costs. This is an example of why there may be benefits to looking at alternate avenues to licensure. And so that it is not simply on the, testing. So those are just some things that I wanted to put out. I'm very, very unhappy with what we see. I understand we need to make a decision today, and it needs to be a responsible decision. But I want this to be understood as a decision strictly for February, that it is not a decision that locks us into any pathway. This is kind of a special board meeting called together partially for this issue, and we need ample time at the September meeting to talk about July, ample time, which we often do not get at meetings. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Trustee Tony. I'm sorry, someone just tried to jump in.
That was me, I'm sorry. Just to sort of make sure we're all on the same page of sort of where we are and where we could go. The contract for the Orange testing accommodation site was entered into in January. It's a small site for testing accommodations. The Ontario site is, as Amy had mentioned, could seat up to 1,300 people. It's for both, uses both standard accommodations and testing accommodations. So if the board wanted to, now we've not had a site in San Diego that could host that many people, 1,300 divided between testing accommodations and standard. Certainly, if the board wanted to say, we think you should scrap Ontario and you should find a site in San Diego, we would have to find a site. None of the existing sites that we've used in the past are able to serve that size. If you sort of approved some, I don't know how to sort of contractually approve something that we haven't yet sort of signed on to, but you could direct us to see, undertake Herculean efforts to find something in San Diego that would meet that same size, approve the other contracts, and then figure out how we'll get contract approval for something in San Diego. My concern is that we can't add San Diego into the reduced site model. If we want to do San Diego, it would have to replace something else, or else we would need to go back to the as is model. So right, I don't want to foreclose any options to the board. I'm not aware that we're going to be able to find a site in San Diego that would accommodate that number of applicants. But we are waiting for input from the Department of General Services about what they might have available. I don't expect them to have state buildings of that size in San Diego. But
have you talked to the convention center?
The convention center, I believe, Amy, is what we used to use. Yes. And we started not being able to use it, I think with the pandemic, where they started using it for different purposes, and we haven't been able to use it since. And I recall there were problems with I don't recall if there were problems with February exams for getting the convention center, but I believe I know there were for July.
Yeah, the Concourse Center, also the other place that we've tried in San Diego and have not been able to get space there.
Yeah, that's a lot older. But the convention center has recently added space. It's huge to me, and I don't think you answered me. Did you contact the convention center about February?
For this February exam, we did not. We can, but we've tried almost nearly every exam administration, and we can't get space there. It's the dates that we're looking at are in between two other events happening at that same location.
At what location?
At the convention center.
Oh, so you did talk to them?
Not for this administration. We have in the past, and that's been historically the challenge with getting that location.
So I think that the solution staff is proposing are potentially for February, because I think some of us, including me, may have misspoken. It's Orange where we have the contract already, not Ontario. And Orange is a small site. So the board or executive committee could direct staff to try to secure space in San Diego in lieu of Ontario. I think what you're hearing from the admissions team is we cannot do Ontario and San Diego. We can't support that. So I think we could look to our GC, but delegating the authority to me and the board chair to execute the contracts, because we would want to be able to move forward very quickly if we are able to find space. That would be a route to go. I will say, in response to some of your comments, Mark, the state bar in its own motion cannot authorize an alternative pathway to licensure. That proposal will have to be approved by the Supreme Court, just like we recently forwarded the Blue Ribbon Commission's recommendations on the bar exam to the court. And the court ultimately has the authority to determine how people can be licensed to practice law in this state. The recommendations submitted from the Blue Ribbon Commission indicate that we should create our own California exam, an exam pathway that does not include the MBE. We estimate that will take about 5 years for both the development and the statutorily required notice to California law schools. They must have 2 years of notice, and the notice needs to include fairly detailed delineation of what exactly will be tested. So it's a long process to get from here to a new bar exam. Similarly, it will take time to develop the non-exam pathway to licensure. So I just want to be clear about A, we have been actively and aggressively pursuing these things, and 2, none of them are going to happen overnight. But with respect to the immediate February issue, if it is XCOM's will, we can try to move with San Diego in lieu of Ontario. And again, we just seek the authority to execute contracts absent reconvening XCOM or the board.
Thank you, Leah. Any other questions from the trustees by way of clarification, further information you need? If not, I think Leah has offered a potential motion for trustees to consider making in lieu of what staff has recommended. Let me take a temperature. Trustee Chen, I feel like I've said something that maybe wasn't clear.
I just want to make sure I understand it. Could you repeat what it is you want to take our temperature on?
Well, staff has proposed going with the Ontario site, and the other sites are listed, eliminating, not doing San Diego. I've got the Orange site for the accommodations. It sounds like if there is a will from the board or direction from the board, staff could go and do further investigations as to the San Diego Convention Center. If that is the direction, I believe I heard Ms. Wilson say we would have to eliminate the Ontario site. So that leaves Pasadena, Daly City.
For Southern California, that would be Pasadena for standard applicants. And then San Diego would be for standard applicants. And then for testing accommodation applicants, Orange, the LA State Bar Office, and San Diego. That's what Southern California would be.
And I'm sorry, could someone remind me how many people Pasadena can accommodate?
Pasadena could accommodate, I have that, give me 1 second. 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's possible, if not likely, that Pasadena will fill up, and then folks in Southern California would travel down to San Diego as the alternative. I'm not sure about likely, but it's possible, right?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I guess, there's the question would be, would there, I don't have, I haven't done a recent heat map of the addresses of the applicants, but would we be in a similar position where there'd be some significant portion of people from the LA area who would have to travel down to San Diego to take the exam because the Pasadena site would fill up? That I simply don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have that sense as well. We won't know.
I do want to point out one risk with this plan is that we risk losing Ontario in our exploration of San Diego. So as we explore San Diego, that takes sufficient amount of time, we could lose the space that we have right now in Ontario. So I just want to raise that as a concern.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Somebody want to make a motion?
We're working on a resolution that captures give me 1 second, some of that discussion. Let me share that video.
And while you're pulling that up, I'm gonna say what I believe to be the consensus based on some of what Mark Tony said, which is this decision that we're contemplating here is only for the February exam, almost as a Band-Aid, for lack of a better word. And we all will collectively engage in some more hard work on this very important issue. Could I see a nodding of heads if that makes sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your patience. We're just making that.
Sure thing. No, it's okay.
Okay, Louisa, I just sent that over to you if you want to include it on with the other options.
Yes, give me 1 second.
Mhm. Louisa, one more edit. I would add respective designees after chair of the board. I just recalled chair that you might be out of the country, so just.
No, we'll have to resolve this well before.
Okay, then in
chair
that case, yeah.
goes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
1 second and we'll share the resolution.
I'm seeing it now. I'm
We
not
can
sure if
see it,
everyone else is seeing
Lisa.
it.
And I'm sorry, it should be the executive committee. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So before I ask if there's a member of the board, the executive committee who wants to move this motion, I feel compelled to say that the very big contingency here is whether San Diego Convention Center can even accommodate us. And is there any indication from staff as to how soon we could make that inquiry and get an answer?
I think we could prioritize this in the next couple of days and have something maybe by today's Thursday, so maybe midweek next week.
Okay.
And it's not just the convention center, right? But we've
Yeah.
contracted in the past, it looks like with the town and country space. So I think we just need to find a large enough space to accommodate what we are not going to get in Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jose,
Go ahead.
I'm not seeing any mention in here of cost. Are we assuming that we're choosing a place in San Diego that's comparably cost price as Ontario? Or are we gonna throw the cost concerns out the window here just to go back to San Diego? Because I don't see where that's an option.
That's
If we wanted to say not to exceed the pricing for Ontario and table 1, I think we will not be able to achieve that because San Diego is more expensive. I mean, I'm not the expert on this.
Well, I don't
Something,
know.
but San Diego is more expensive than Ontario.
Given our budget situation and how tight we are, and the reason we're doing this is because of cost, what's the answer to how we're gonna solve the cost problem by adding back San Diego?
We don't have an answer. I mean, I want to be transparent, though. The staff recommendation does not fully address the deficit, right? We're going to have a more aggressive or comprehensive strategy that we bring forward for July. And our expectation is that will include, I mean, I certainly know my expectation is it will include going remote for the California portion of the exam. We absolutely have to figure out how to do it. So we'll have to, just realize more cost savings in July than we would if we chose the Ontario site, because I do assume San Diego will be more expensive. Staff can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we certainly expect it will be more expensive, but one of the things that we need to do, because we just got, we were just able to, just in the past day or so, able to nail down all of what the contract prices would be for the existing hotels or the existing sites, the sites that we have on the list before you. And so what we need to actually do is go back to the admissions budget to see how what we're now saying it will cost us to put on the exam, the extent to which that exceeds the cost that was budgeted. The reason I'm saying this is because we did identify, as opposed to the as-is model, the staff proposal would save $645,000. So if you were to just double that for July, right, adding on July, that would theoretically cover the projected deficit. However, I think the February exam is actually more expensive than we actually originally projected. So we'll also look at that math in the next couple of days to make sure that we that if the cost for San Diego is higher, which if we find a facility, it will be higher. If it's higher than what we have for Ontario, that it doesn't take the that it doesn't take the savings down so low that we couldn't ultimately be in a position to mitigate the deficit.
That seems logical. Is there a way to phrase that?
I certainly didn't find it when I was speaking, so let's see if we can do it in the written.
How about in a, I was going to say revenue neutral, but that's not right. In a fiscally advantageous manner. I will suggest here that I've not yet heard anyone want to own this motion yet. So, and I understand part of it could be because we're still fine tuning the language, but if we don't have a mover and someone to second that motion, then this conversation. Mr. Knoll, yes, sir.
Yes, the way it is written right now, without any additional language, I would move this motion. I just want to say that I see this issue for San Diegans as a D&I issue, and E as well, equity as well. I see it as was outlined in the major portion of the comments was about the elimination of San Diego. And they also tied to that the other, the next three, I think, items around cost and the ability for some people to go for 2 days and pay money and take the exam. Some may opt to not take the exam until it comes back to San Diego someday. But I don't think that's right. I just don't think it's right. And I have to say that I agree with Trustee Tony. You know, you come to us much like it is a fait accompli. And I just don't like that. I don't think that's right either. So I'll move the, and well, it keeps changing. Now we have different language.
Sorry, Louisa, so the board executive committee approves the staff proposal set forth in table 1 above for February 24, with the direction that staff explore this possibility of contracting for a site in San Diego, not with San Diego.
Right, right.
Contracting for a site in San Diego.
It's the fourth line down.
It's
Yeah.
the fourth line down.
Really down, take with out.
Yeah, right there. Contracting for a site in San Diego. Okay, and then
There you go.
okay, and then to approve a contract where you have to approve a contract for a San Diego location, you can strike. Yeah.
So what that does not include, however, is the point that Jose made about the fiscal impact here, right?
Right.
If such appropriate site is identified and
We need to strike that last pink part to approve a contract for. The last.
the last red, yeah, the last edition.
What you might want to do, Mr. Chair, since the staff proposal was a savings of $645,000 as compared to the as-is model, maybe you just set a floor on what that savings differential would be, right? So a San Diego site such that the savings as compared to the as-is model is no less than X, whatever that X is.
Greg, as the maker of the motion, does that sound to your liking? And if so, do you have an idea on the X?
Well, it says if such appropriate site is identified. The word appropriate is very subjective. It's not an objective way to look at it, but I am concerned that the convention center, the town and country, anything the size of the town and country, be seriously gone after, and then I don't know, maybe we have more discussion, but I'm not as concerned about the budgetary problems that might occur now as a result of us putting San Diego back in the mix. I'm much more concerned that we are here at the last moment and we are getting back a lot of comments that we essentially ignored and said, no, we're going to eliminate San Diego. And to ask me to do that at the last minute is really, really difficult for me.
I don't actually recommend putting any fiscal parameters on this because I think we know it's going to be more expensive and we're trying to move this very quickly. I think the task that we've always understood is that when we come back for July 2024, we need to fully right-size the budget. So substituting San Diego in for Ontario is going to make that more difficult, but we understand that that's our job. So I guess we need some flexibility if the policy goal is to offer the test in San Diego. We have to have a bit of flexibility here, including for you and me, Ruben, because we'll be reviewing these proposals.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Leah, that the executive director or the chair approve a contract for a San Diego location if such appropriate site is identified, and we'll have to live, if we vote for this, we'll have to live with whatever you and Ruben decide together appropriate means to what sites are available or not.
Okay, thank you, trustee Noel. Trustee Trejo, your hand is up.
Yeah, just as a point of clarification, if we don't find, if the appropriate site isn't available, are we then going to be moving to Ontario by default, as per this resolution, or what happens in the unlikely scenario that the appropriate site isn't found?
So I will let staff correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is Ontario has been identified as a viable site. It's been priced out. It's a part of staff's recommendation already.
Correct.
I think the answer is yes. We default back to Ontario,
Yes.
assuming we don't lose the site.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second to Greg's motion?
I will second.
Trustee Tony, thank you. Okay, I think that we have debated this one, but let me just offer one last opportunity. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, Madam Secretary, I apologize. May I have the roll?
Ken,
Aye.
Cisneros,
Aye.
no,
Aye.
Soel, not present, Stallings, not present, Tony,
Aye.
Trejo,
Aye.
Duran.
Nay.
5 ayes, 1 nay, motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. That was, I think, a very trying but necessary debate, and I appreciate all of the input and all the work from staff. Okay. We are going to continue.
I think that's it.
That's it.
That is our agenda, correct?
Yeah, looks
All
like
right.
it.
It's a solid day's work, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will adjourn this special meeting of the executive committee. We'll see you
Okay.
all shortly sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.